Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about comparison and how it can hurt and how it can help. Are comparisons torturing you or teaching you? Join us as we discuss how to encourage ourselves and each other in this area. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about comparison and how it can hurt and how it can help. And as a springboard for this discussion, we're continuing our once-a-month series about the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. A New York Times bestseller, this book was written to help give people the tools to create a better life and better relationships. And about once a month, we're reading a chapter or two and discussing how to put this theory into practice in our real lives. But don't worry, because you do not need to be actually reading the book to enjoy this episode. So in case you have not been reading along, the Let Them theory is a step-by-step guide on how to stop letting other people's opinions, drama, and judgment impact your life. And outside of this book, this means the theory is all about simply letting others do what they will. So I feel like today's topic is not even necessarily stopping other people's opinions about your life. It's stopping your own opinion about your life, because we're talking about comparison. And what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and we've all experienced that. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So much so that, we're talking about 2 chapters today. And the first chapter, I was just like, okay, this is horrible. Like, I was reading through it and it is very relatable, but it is depressing to read all of the different comparisons that she gives examples of. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So I'm glad we're doing it with chapter 10, kind of what to do about it. It was a bit depressing.
Well, I hated the title. Life Isn't Fair. I'm like, tell me something I don't already know.
I know.
Like,
I know.
like, I know that, I'm living
Yes.
that. I hate it. And so I didn't even want to read it. It was just like, ugh.
Thankfully, it was short, Julie.
It was really short. It was like 5 pages.
I was so glad. I was like, I was done with it after 2 pages.
Well, why don't you summarize that hated chapter 9, Julie? The life isn't fair. Not even summarize it, but just give us an intro before we start talking about it.
Yeah, she started off saying that, every human being is dealt a different hand of cards. And there's nothing that you can do about the cards someone else has. It's all about how you play your hand. And she said somebody's always going to have a better hand, have advantages in life, have it easier, be luckier, whatever, you want to call it. And she said it's important to remember that you're not playing against them. It's not competitive. You're actually playing with them. So while we're all very busy comparing ourselves to everyone else, we're missing the biggest secret, one of the biggest secrets in life. And that is that other people can teach you how to be a better player, and that's how you win. These are her words, not mine.
Because we don't quite believe it yet.
No, Julie, that doesn't sound like you at all.
I'm not
This
convinced.
is how you win.
Yeah.
This is how they say you could win.
Like, what's the prize?
Right. Oh, so I was a bit stuck back at not accepting that life isn't fair. That's where I am.
Okay.
Haven't moved. I want my old cards back. Okay.
Right.
Oh.
I was dealt a pretty good hand, and now my hand stinks. So I'm still back there.
Yeah.
No, and I get that, because objectively, I think that anyone looking at your previous hand and your hand now would say, I want those cards back for her too. It's not fair at all. A lot of the examples she gave are just flat out not fair. And it can be objectively not fair, but what do we do from there? I can just, it says that you can just let it paralyze you. And I know I've felt like that before.
Yeah.
And that is
Definitely.
the purpose of the chapter. But you have to be willing to get past that first belief, So it's hard.
I know. I kept looking for the anecdote. So what do I do about it? You know what I mean? So like I'm reading through that chapter. I'm like, okay, and yes, this is true. And where do we go from here? So even some of her examples, I was like, oh my goodness gracious.
Well, here's an easy one that comes to mind. It's not even about fairness, but sometimes I think this, and this is kind of what I think we'll get to as both chapters go along, but this just came to my mind, like our podcast. Sometimes I can say, well, man, that podcast has been around for 3 months and look at all the press it's getting and all the listeners and all the this and that, or, but I also have to take a step back and say, and she talks about this, well, what are you doing that those people are doing, or were your goals the same, or, and so like in the podcast thing, I think we can kind of come back around to that, but I don't know that the goals and what we've done has necessarily been what someone would do if they were really trying to make a go of a podcast.
I agree that we compare outcomes without really looking at what somebody was willing to put into something. I'm not saying we don't put into our podcast, but like we haven't hired people and we haven't strategized to earn money and seek sponsors and all of that,
Right.
Yeah.
Because anytime anyone asks about this, or if I've thought about our podcast, we've been going over 5 years. It'll be 6 years in November, right?
Right.
And I feel like my contentment stays just fine with the three of us because none of us have wanted anything more. Maybe we've talked about it, maybe year 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've talked. We're like, are we happy? Yeah, we're all happy. Like it has stayed a hobby for the three of us. And until that changes, we're perfectly content.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, do you agree that other people's successes paralyze you? Or have you experienced that in your past?
I do think she talks about it draining your motivation, that it can kind of just make you feel stuck. And I kind of related to this, like when, kind of like your podcast example, it can leave me feeling like I'm behind. Like when I'm scrolling social media, and particularly when I see artists that are doing all this great things, I think, oh, I wish I could paint like her. And look at that. She's got a business and she's doing all this great stuff. But then I think, have I put the time in there? Have I done the work she's done? Absolutely not. And so I just think for me, recently in the last 2 weeks, I've removed my Facebook and Instagram apps from my phone.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely wonderful, I have to say. And it kind of changes two things. First of all, I'll never have to know that those people even exist. But then it also has just freed up a lot of time to focus on the things I can do. And that's kind of her point, is to focus more on what you can do than what you're not doing, or what someone else has done and you're not willing to do. So yeah, I get that it kind of can leave me feeling behind.
Yeah. I know I was definitely stuck for a long time. I've talked about my health journey many times on here, but I was really stuck in that for a long time. And I had 1,000,001 excuses, and I wasn't really doing anything about it. Like I was wishing things would change, but not really doing anything to change. And so I was stuck in that wishing for a long time. There were a lot of things that kept me stuck in that stage. And now that I'm on this side of it, I can look back and say, like, it took a long time of changing my own thinking and habits and daily practices. And it took a good year of change, of daily different decision making. And I will never go back now. And so I think that sometimes, if somebody met me right now and they see these practices that I have in my life, they weren't there when I was in my 20s or even early 30s. But now I have this one area of my life where I understand what she's saying, because I did that for a long time. I was stuck in that for a long time, not just comparing myself to other people, but comparing myself to my previous self before children.
Right.
And so I wanted things to change, but I wasn't willing to do anything about it. And I just stayed stuck in that until that 1 year of completely different decision making.
And somebody from the outside might look at you and say, oh, well, she's just so lucky that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they
she's
don't
just
understand.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't understand all that work that went into
No.
it.
Mindy's been through major self-control and discipline camp.
Yeah, because a lot of times the work is invisible to the outside world,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she talked about being jealous of people, like, they have a good metabolism, like, I don't know, maybe they just don't eat junk food all the time, like, you know, that's a good way of trying to think about it, like, yeah, that's gonna make you jealous for sure, like it's some,
Yeah.
Yeah.
God-given trait or something, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if comparing is a total waste of our time and we know it steals our joy, then why do we all do it? I'm even thinking about the social media thing, Mindy or Julie, because we know that when we get on social media, that's like the easiest place to fall into comparison. So why don't we just all delete our apps?
Well, for me, like, one of the things she said was she thought jealousy led to discontentment, but I think that's actually just backwards. I think
Mm.
discontentment is the root
Yeah.
of all the jealousy, because when you're not
Mm.
content, and I'm not saying I am, um, that's what causes you to start looking around, like,
Mhm.
you're looking at all the stuff around you and then, how your life doesn't measure up. Um, and I face this basically just every time I leave my house and I have to face the world the way it really is.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think for me, trying to foster contentment is a way to combat that. I know we're not really talking about combating it, but that to me, it's discontentment. That is the root of it. And I don't know. I think that a little bit of that spiritual component is totally missing from this book. And I think we'll probably talk about that more as it goes on. But um, I started the Colson Fellowship 2 weeks ago. I think I've mentioned that before. Like, it's a deep dive into worldview, and it's a lot of work and a lot of reading. And we're reading Mere Christianity right now.
Oof.
And yeah, so I just thought, just something I read, like, it's already speaking into my life, because C.S. Lewis was saying how, like, when you think your faith is strong, emotions rise up and carry out a sort of blitz on your beliefs. And that's so true. Like, we say we believe
Mhm.
one thing,
Mhm.
but then the feelings just creep in and take over. And so I continuously have to remind myself of, like,
Mhm.
what I believe, like, feed it.
Mhm.
Because every time we make a little choice to let this thought creep in and then perpetuate it and believe a lie, it
Yeah.
just gains momentum and it changes us. And I just think I have to be careful about taking every thought captive. Because discontentment it's just there right now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's probably a natural part of grief too.
Mhm.
But I just want to make sure I don't get stuck there.
Well, I think it's obvious, anyone that has listened to us for any length of time, the three of us are believers and we read the word, and we can't go through one discussion without bringing our faith into these practical everyday discussions. And so it's who we are. And I love that you brought that up, Julie, because I can't read this book without having, spiritual applications. What does the Bible
Mhm.
say? And do I believe this? And really breaking it down, because I think it's a useful tool, and kind of looking at life and giving some practical application. But I really always do compare it with, what does the Bible
Mhm.
say? What do I believe? And how can I put this together? And so you mentioned discontent, and I 100% agree with you on that. And then also where your eyes are looking. And this is why we compare, because what do our eyes see? Other things. we go we go out of our house and we see other things. We get on social media, we see other things. We watch TV, we see people, we see
Mhm.
bodies, we see clothes, we see houses, we see cars, we see children. And as we interact with friends and people that we love, when we go to church and you go to the mall or you go to any store, and how you relate with other people in the world, your ideology is shaped by all the things that you see. And so, whatever you're putting into your mind or in front of your eyes you have to put that in some sort of compartment. What am I going to do with this information, the stimuli? How's this going to affect me? And so that's why we all read the Bible, because we're constantly trying to train our minds and our eyes and our hearts and walk, according to the word. And it's very difficult. And so I appreciate this conversation because we will continue to live in the world as we should, and we will continue to have a battle over the things that we see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if we delete our social media, like you said, Mindy and Julie, we still have to go outside. Like you just can't avoid comparison. You just really can't. And so that's why Mel Robbins is telling us in this chapter that we need to understand what we can and cannot change. There are fixed attributes of someone's life, like their natural beauty, their body type, their family history, their metabolism, God-given talents like athleticism or a perfect pitch. Like those are things that are fixed about someone else. And there's no amount of effort on your part that will make these cards magically appear in your life. And she says that here's how you know if something's fixed. Is there anything you can do in the next 30 seconds to change this? And I thought that was so interesting because that's a really small amount of time. 30 seconds?
I know. I can't go have any sort of skin procedure done in 30 seconds. No eye cream is going to help that.
No. And she says that anytime you spend obsessing over a fixed aspect of someone else's life versus your own is an act of self-torture. You can't change it. You must learn to allow it. In other words, let them. But we can get really hung up on fixed attributes, things that we really can't do anything about in our own life. Like you can't control what family you were born into or what part of the country or maybe some of the amount of money you inherited or whatever, your eye color. Like you can't control a lot of that stuff. That was set before you ever did anything.
Right.
On the other hand, did you think she put a little too much power into our hands, believing that we could change more than you think is possible? She kind of seemed to say that you could create and get whatever you wanted out of life. And I tend to disagree with that. Like it was all within and about how you create, like you could create. I think she gave an example of the most romantic love relationship, or the greatest family relationships, wealth, health. She didn't mention health. And it's like, yes, you can do things to do your part to contribute to that. But anything that relies on someone else or things totally beyond your control,
right.
I don't know. I thought she put a little too much emphasis on being able to create the life you wanted.
Yeah. She said that she intentionally put a really long list together. And so I think some of them, like that relied on people, she said, create a better friend group. Well, you can work to foster a better friend group, but you can't maybe make that. And she said, connecting more with your kids. And you, again, can try to spend more time, but you can't necessarily. She did put creating the greatest love story of your life. Well, I think a lot of people that are single would say, I really have been on a lot of dates and tried a lot of things, and I'm still not in the greatest love story of my life.
Well, because that involves another person. Yeah, and I know what she's saying, but then every once in a while she'll just say, you can get out there and create the life you want, and I don't know. I just didn't quite fall for that.
Right.
And could be some of these things are more possible depending on what age you are. I mean, I guess you could start a whole new career at this point in your life, but some of that applies more to like maybe a younger person. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think the three of us are saying, what can we do? Because I don't think that if anyone asked us, can you make a perfect life, even by the choices, even if you were all the things we're going to talk about, will you end up with that prize, winning the perfect life? No. I mean, I don't.
You can control what you do, yes, and that's the point of the book, or this chapter. But you still can't control the outcome.
Right.
And
there's no prize.
and she does seem to hit at that, like that the outcome comes with these choices.
So
that was my interpretation.
That you can get some really good friends to cheer you on, and I'd say that is the prize. way to go.
Well, she does talk about what psychologists call upward and downward comparison. What does that mean? Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Well, upward is when we measure ourselves against someone else's attributes, like that you consider better than yours, someone who has more advantages or better life or, that higher metabolism or better skin or better house, whatever. Downward is, she said, this is what people rarely do, is to look around and see how much better off you are than most people. And I thought, this is so true. I know this, but it is really hard to do when you don't see this regularly. Like this is how you feel when you come back from a mission trip to Africa. It is so obvious, like, Lord, I'm thankful for fresh water and shelter and the ability to go see a doctor and, and all of that. But when you live in my neighborhood, you don't see that regularly. So that's where I think intentional gratitude. I thought about your gratitude walks, Mindy, that it just has to be a part of the day. Like, Lord, thank you for, and then I have to say it out loud, because it's so easy to forget, like you don't see a lot of people that are doing less well than you sometimes, they're just not in our face. And we've all come away from a conversation. I have where I realize, oh, things could be worse. Like I know there are some worse situations than mine and worse things than death, and I am grateful for those, for many things in my life. But, you just have to have it put in perspective.
Yeah, I think the most dangerous comparisons, like I don't compare myself to a celebrity. I'm not jealous of a celebrity.
No.
I'm not sitting here thinking, I wish I was so-and-so acting in movies, or like that's so far out of my world that it doesn't even enter into the realm of jealousy. It's like an interesting article to read, but I don't feel jealous of something like that. But I think where we feel jealous maybe is something that we know maybe could be ours or we really hoped would be ours. And was or is in the realm of our possibility, but we can't quite get there. And so I think those are the times that I probably fall into the most paralyzing comparisons,
Yeah.
Even like when we do downward comparison, like I do understand, like when she says, I mean, I shouldn't even say understand because I actually don't understand because I've never lived like that. But like if you have access, if you're reading this book, then you're in a better position than 94% of the world or something she puts in there.
Right.
And I know that that's true. But one, I think that we're discouraged to do downward comparison because it's like kind of a pride. Like, are you going to build yourself up on the back of someone else? So like society and like, I feel like just we're conditioned to not do downward comparison. Like that's just not a way to prop ourselves up. So we pretty much always just look upward for comparison.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Marie, because I was thinking like you can't stay in downward comparison. First of all, it's not relatable, to a person in a third world country. And so I appreciate that you put parameters on who we are comparing ourselves to. And so I don't think you can constantly go to the other end of the pendulum and constantly downward compare and feel better about yourself. Like you're just pumped up with pride, like you just said.
Yeah, that kind of feels bad in and of itself. Like, why am I feeling better because somebody has a worse life than I do?
No, right.
Yeah.
So anytime you, I don't know, having a realistic view of where you are, like living in the world, but kind of having blinders almost so that you can find yourself somewhere in the middle of compassion and gratitude. I mean, I really think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because you could think, as an American, you could think, why do I have all this? Like, why?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm so blessed and well, I don't deserve it any more than anyone else. Yeah, that's a hard thing to unpack too.
One thing I feel like I am really good at is telling my kids or like helping talk them out of comparing. Like, I feel like
so much easier with somebody else.
I know. Like, if they come to me, like, bemoaning the fact that so-and-so has this, or why aren't they this far in life, or why haven't they accomplished that, or this is disappointing.
Right.
I'm, like, really good at, like, giving a pep talk to other people about comparison. But I don't know if I'm as good about giving myself a pep talk. I don't know.
Well, because I think you're helping somebody else see that maybe the attributes about themselves that they can't see,
True.
Right.
or they won't see, or,
Yeah.
Right.
um,
Also, we can recognize growth. We've talked before about sometimes we don't recognize the steps that we're taking to grow, whereas somebody else might be able to say, "Hey, like remember where you started. Remember how far you've grown in that. I've seen the hard work you've been doing." And so we're just not always good at cheering ourselves on. We're a lot better at saying, "I can't believe you did that again." It's so much easier to stay in that downward spiral, shame, guilt, than it is to kind of change the way that we think. We've talked about creating a new neural pathway and trying to venture through something and step forward.
yeah.
They talk about comparison can be your torturer or your teacher. So I think we've kind of talked about how comparison can be our torturer because we said it's painful and uncomfortable either way. Like if you're downward comparing, if you're upward comparing, like you're basically torturing yourself. It says that anytime you're trying to control something that you can't, it makes you feel more out of control and powerless. And we're too smart to waste our lives torturing ourselves. It says we need to hold on to our power because we're going to need it to unlock the potential of our own unique life. And we have to allow ourselves to be happier. And this is like classic self-help book type talk. We are now going to move into how we allow ourselves to be happier. And so she says, let's move on to the second type of comparison. And this type is a gold mine for you. And it is the teaching type of comparison, which I really had never given much thought to comparison being a teacher. Had you guys ever thought of it in that way?
No, not really. No.
Me neither. No, I love this. And I'm so glad we're in this point of the conversation because this is what can we do? The let me part of the conversation, which that's the only person that you can control.
And I love how she said that the comparison is natural human nature. We all agree with that that's not even the ultimate problem. It's what you've done with that comparison. Let it torture you, or are you going to let it teach you?
Right.
Right. And she starts out the chapter with that big long list that we kind of alluded to before. And she's saying that with time and consistent effort, various aspects of your life and career and health could be changed. And she gives a bunch of examples. Some do rely on other people, but just some of the examples she gives are like creating a better friend group, finding your purpose, vacationing, financial freedom. She says you could buy a sports car, you could renovate your kitchen, you could build a better relationship with your parents, you could write a book. Like she has easy kind of and hard, but like things that you could incrementally work toward. And they're different than the immutable fixed characteristics like, body type or something, hair color, that you're not going to be able to do much about. So I think now we're moving into things basically that you could theoretically work to change. And so how does comparison become your teacher in those instances?
I think she was saying like let someone else be successful, let them, and then let them lead you into that. Let them show you the formula. I think she used that analogy. Like they've already worked out the formula. You just need to follow it. And I thought that was a good example that like their success doesn't mean you can't have it. It's not a all or none. Like they've taken it, so I can't have it. Like you can do this too, to some degree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she gives the example of somebody that was an interior designer, a friend of hers who had known for a long time she should update her website and do more on social media and really maybe just put more into her business. But she was kind of paralyzed by comparison when someone in her neighborhood all of a sudden had a design website and had a lot of followers and was getting clients. And this longtime designer went on the new designer's website and saw that it was, fresh and new. And she was like, she doesn't even have that much work. A lot of it's just her own house. It's not fair. Look at all this stuff I've done. And Mel Robbins was kind of like, okay, she's shown you the formula. Like she said, she's shown you update your website, get more followers. Like, because I think the designer went to Mel Robbins and said, "What should you do? What should I do?" And Mel Robbins was like, "Thank her. Thank her for showing you the formula and start doing it." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
so allow that to teach you what to do next.
Yeah. And I think she said certain people can teach you like that, teach you these things because of who they are. And I think she was particularly annoyed by this person.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And that even that played into it. Like it took her getting angry to say, I need to do something. I thought that was an interesting aspect of it.
Well, it does take some sort of catalyst, sometimes it's a diagnosis that makes someone change, how they're living but yeah, it takes some sort of wake up call. Don't we all wish we had the motivation to start working and do the hard work, the daily actions that it takes to make progress in an area that you've struggled with for years? But what finally makes you change? What is that? Because you don't just change because you want to. We want a lot of things.
Right.
So I appreciate the very practical nature in this chapter. And that's one of the things, the way she talked to her friend is one of the reasons I do like Mel Robbins, where she was like, well, thank her. Now you can do something about it. Like her no nonsense.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed out loud when I read that.
Yeah. Like I circled this line. Comparison shows you the areas of your life that need more of your attention. And so if something is bothering you, comparison-wise, it could be something that you need to take a step back and say, okay, this bothers me that this person has this. And is it something that I could also work on fostering in my own life?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shows us like maybe where we need to put in. She talks about putting in the reps, like maybe where we need to be putting in the effort and putting in the work that maybe we've just been wishing it would happen, but we haven't actually been doing anything about it.
I have kind of a classic example, a movie reference, because I love movie references, that describes this very, very thing. And so The Devil Wears Prada, if you've been on social media at all, you see that they're making a second one. In the first movie with Anne Hathaway, we see the literal hell that she goes through when she first becomes Miranda Priestley's assistant. And we all feel terrible for her. Like we're watching her live this. And she goes to Nigel and she starts talking to him about it. And she's like, I just wish she saw what I was doing. And I just would like a little recognition. And Nigel goes, wake up, like you're not wanting change, you're just whining. And I remember when I first saw that he literally calls her out. He doesn't feel sorry for her at all. She's looking for a pity party, major. And I feel like she earned it. He's like, no, I'm not giving you a pity party. You're just whining. What have you done to actually change? And then she actually goes through her transformation and becomes the person, Anyways, funny movie reference to give a visual for what we're talking about here. We're trying to get past whining and we're trying to get to the change.
Yeah.
I think you even have to ask yourself sometimes, do I even want that? Sometimes the comparison is just like, why don't I have that? Well, do I even want that?
That's a good question, though.
We could always just be showing how we don't measure up to everybody, but is that even important? Like, is that something that I would want to do? Maybe not.
Right.
I like what she said that Tom Brady said about success. The truth is,
love that part.
Yeah. You don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't: consistent, determined, and willing to work for it.
Consistent.
Yes.
That's the hard work.
Yes.
Yeah. So it says that a lot of people are just out there putting in the reps, slowly chipping away at the boring, hard stuff. So a lot of getting what we want or changing involves boring, hard stuff. And like in Mindy's case, literally doing reps.
It is. And I'm not sure which one of you said this, but it's unseen. It's invisible. It's what you're doing when nobody's watching. It's how you're preparing, for the day. It's how you're ending your day. It's these daily practices and ways that you think and what you do with your time that really do make the bigger changes. But it's all these little decisions along the way that get to the bigger changes that happen. But some of those things take years. You know, you don't get a
Yeah.
master's degree in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
I
takes
like
a
what she
minimum of
said,
yeah.
that your life can change in a day, but she said that day may not come for 15 years,
Yeah.
but then it
Right.
changes once
Mm-hmm.
Right.
everything comes together. But it just, it takes patience and hard work and showing up and diligence.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it says that inspiration is not enough to get you motivated. Like, you can be
Mhm.
inspired to do something, but then you have to
Yeah.
actually do the boring parts and the rep parts and all
Right.
that.
Right.
So, has someone's success ever inspired you to do something that you wanted to do? Like, has there ever been a time when you were like, oh, well, look, they did it. I could do it too.
Well, I had 2 examples that were these are really small, these aren't huge, but, last October, I went to London with some friends, and on the train rides, I talked with this newer friend, and she's the one that kinda told me about the Colson Fellowship, and she wasn't, like, advertising it, it just kinda came up in our conversation a lot, and I was kinda jealous, like, she has all this knowledge and understanding, she can
Mhm.
articulate all her beliefs on these cultural issues, and I thought, "I wish I could do that," like, I read books and I
Mm-hmm.
listen to
Right.
podcasts, but I don't have all this knowledge. And it wasn't a a green with envy kinda jealousy, but it did, spur me on to say, "Well,
Mhm.
I am going to do this," and the part that, was invisible to me at that time was that she had spent 9 months and over 250 hours of reading and, seminars and all of this, like, it was there was she had put in a lot of work to get to that point. So she encouraged
Mm.
me and she was excited about it, and, there was a little bit of the, "Well, if she can do it, I can do it too."
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that was an example of just, causing spurring me on to do something I wanted to do, and then I even kinda just thought about the sourdough bread. Marie's like, "Oh, Marie's enjoying homemade sourdough bread now, and it wasn't that hard after all." Like, I had kinda talked myself out of like, "Oh, it's just too hard," and, "Oh, I wished I had jumped on that bandwagon earlier," and instead, it was kinda like, "Well, thank you, Marie," like, "You
Yeah.
kinda paved the way, so, you figured out the formula, and I just jumped in and took advantage of that." So,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a funny example, and just also just seeing people that are grieving and that are handling it well have been an inspiration to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those people inspire me to keep on.
Mm-hmm. Was anyone in particular inspirational for you for like your health journey?
Thank you for asking that.
Mhm.
It took the right trainer. I remember when I first got to the point where I thought, I have to do something different. I can't continue on this road, and I'm finally ready.
Mm-hmm.
And it took all 4 kids getting into school. Nathaniel had just started kindergarten, and I reached out to a personal trainer that I respected. I didn't know very well, and she was going to give me someone else. And I said, please, like, it needs to be you or
Mhm.
nobody. And she's I said, I can more relate with you. I knew she was about 10 years older than me. She had children. Like, to me, that was someone that had done it, was living a real life. She was a real woman, like in the midst.
Mm-hmm.
And the trainer she tried to give me was in her 20s, wasn't married and didn't have children. And I thought, well, of course her body looks like that.
Right.
Like, that's not relatable to me. I need
Right.
somebody
Right.
that has had at least a couple of children. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took the right person. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
was not willing even to learn from someone that I couldn't relate with or look up to. And that became my best friend. And that was Charlotte. And that was the year of change. And she scared me to death because she was like, well, I'm not taking you on if you're just going to quit on me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But like, she had enough tough love, and she was a mom, and she had been had a similar life to me. So it she inspired me, and she helped me be willing to say, okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inspiring when people follow their own advice too, like that's
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
yeah, it's just makes it
Mm-hmm.
more relatable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Julie, I was thinking about all the things you've inspired me to do.
Oh, gosh.
Well, no. Okay, so I don't know that I would have traveled as much in my life if I didn't have Julie as an inspiration.
Aw.
Because traveling the desire to travel does not come naturally to me. I don't sit down and dream of traveling. But Julie kind of inspires me because she goes and has fun somewhere. And then I'm like, well, I want to go and have fun there. Or I want to go and have fun like that. And so she has inspired me to get out of my comfort zone too. Like, my brother was inspiring for me to go camping last year, but I think Julie was even more inspiring because she went like in this camper and she wasn't sure if she was going to like it. And like, she's been willing to get out of her comfort zone on trips and do things. It's like you said, Mindy, like if you're comparing yourself to someone you can relate to and you think, well, I could do that too, but I just haven't done it yet, then it's very motivating. It's not like I'm comparing myself to a celebrity where I'm not going to go on a yacht somewhere. Like, I could also go to a national park and enjoy myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a realistic thing that I could do. I just haven't had any thoughts of doing it. So yeah. And like, I wouldn't live in this neighborhood today if Julie hadn't inspired me, because packing her up and moving here, I was like, what? She's doing it? Why can't I do it too? Hey, I've always liked this neighborhood. She lives almost right across the street from me, and she's managed to do this. I could do it too. And so I do think like those relatable comparisons can inspire us to do things. That inspires me more than like someone out there in the world that I don't know or really don't know what went into it.
Yeah.
Or, anything like that.
Like, we've used the term positive peer pressure before. And so I feel like this is positive peer pressure. These are peers, people in your kind of circle, in your group that you're rubbing shoulders with. And you're just inspiring one another on, you're cheering each other on. And this is the best form of pressure.
Right.
Yeah, I think comparison amongst peers can be a really good teacher.
Yeah. And I think we have talked about very meaningful things that are descriptions of success, but I think she focused a lot on material things, like her big story about getting her queen size bunk beds. And I just wanted to say, like, it felt a little misguided to focus on like all that you could create and get yourself as a way to cure jealousy, because it was still focusing on like
possessions.
The end result is going to cure the jealousy by what I get. Does that? I don't know. Maybe this is just where I am in life, but I just thought that was a little misguided, because maybe I'm cynical, but I just don't believe you can get all those things.
Right. Nor that it would bring happiness if you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like if it's always like physical, material things.
Right.
Because she did talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah. I think you can get the queen size bunk beds. I think almost anybody can, depending on how many jobs are willing to work or whatever. But I'm not under the illusion that that's going to bring you any kind of satisfaction or true happiness.
Yeah. Or like also just the whole idea of because someone else has it, then I should have it. I think that's a poor motivation as well.
Well, let me end this little section of our talk with saying, like, this is why the Bible tells us that we need to be in community with other believers, why we need a good peer group. You are going to be rubbing shoulders with people and really being wise about the people that are in your circle and the people that you go walking with and you talk with and spend time with. Like, we need each other in this world. You can't be alone or isolate and do it well, because we can learn from one another and try to encourage one another and help each other along the way. Because at some point you're going to stumble. If you've not stumbled yet, you will. You might be in a low point. Well, maybe you just need a friend. And so we hope that on this podcast, you've seen us set the bar so low on some items that we have encouraged you, maybe. And also maybe somehow you can just relate with us. Like, we are very normal.
Right. There's a question. Do you agree that others' success is proof that you could do it too? I think it probably is. I guess I think a lot of these things depend on how you define success, because to some people, defining success is going to be starting their own business and growing it to be $1 million venture. And some people's success is, that their sourdough came out good that morning. Like they're just as happy. I think it depends on what you're saying is success. If the pinnacle of success is that you have to have started your own business and it has to be bringing in boatloads of money, well, then no, I don't think everyone's going to do that. I don't think that is possible for everyone.
Or a certain size house or...
Yeah, I don't think that those material things are necessarily success. I think, or can be possible for everybody. I think if you say, is it possible for everyone to have meaningful relationships or be working towards those? And you can't measure those, but I think a lot of people would think that those were success.
Yeah, I think the question, do you agree that other success is proof that you can do it too? I think that that's the wrong first question, that maybe you should back up and say, should I do this? Like just, I don't know, maybe this is a weakness of mine. I know I am often tempted to do something because someone else could do it. I could too. And I don't know what that is in me, but I know there was a time when I wanted to go to medical school. I mean, I thought about it. It was a consuming thought all through high school, all through college. And then right as I was starting to apply, that's when I met John. And over time, I started to rethink, like, I don't know that this is for me. Like, I saw what he was going through. And then when it became clear that we were going to be married, I thought, well, we certainly don't both need to be going through this. Like, this isn't going to fit our plans for life. And so, but all my friends were going ahead and applying and getting in. And the hardest part of letting that go, and it was totally the right decision, I have no regrets, was but I could have. I could have done it. That was the hardest part for me. And I think that has taught me that instead of just charging ahead because I can do something, a lot of times the right answer is to wait, be still, listen for that still small voice, keep doing what I'm doing, that just because I can doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And I think that's kind of missing from this book is waiting on God and being content with his purposes and plans for your life. And, and just always looking into yourself to get what you want out of life. But I don't expect any different because she doesn't claim to be different. But that's just where, the part that's kind of missing for me in this book. But it is a good tool. There's plenty of stuff in here to apply. But like you said, Mindy, I'm always looking to how it comes together with scripture.
Well, I don't think that we're going to be able to turn off comparing ourselves to other people, but hopefully this next week or this next month or this next year, when we do find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, we will take a step back and say, am I comparing myself to a fixed attribute that there's nothing I can do about? Am I comparing myself to someone's success and I could work towards it? Do I actually even want that success? Or am I just being conditioned to say, well, that's success, so you should want that? I mean, there's a lot of questions that you can ask yourself to try to really narrow down, like, why is this comparison stealing my joy right now?
All right. So this whole discussion reminded me very much of something that we have all heard about before, and it's the Serenity Prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought of that too.
Alcoholics Anonymous, which I don't think
that's what it's for.
That's kind of what it has typically been used for. Is in the AA meetings, which, I mean, I've never been to one. I don't know that you guys have, but the Serenity Prayer, let me go ahead and read it. It's very short, but it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I have that beautifully cross-stitched in my laundry room. Maybe I need to pull it out.
I was going to say that needs to be in your bedroom, Julie.
Yes. Right on my bathroom mirror.
But I was thinking of that the whole time.
I mean, that's just beautifully said.
It is.
I mean, she says it right there, the wisdom to know the difference. That's what Mel is trying to get us to see, is know the difference, like what you can control and what you can't control.
And if I could point our listeners to another book that would help with the wisdom part of that, I would suggest you look at the Bible and look at Proverbs in particular. Also, Timothy Keller and his Gospel and Life podcast recently did a little short series on wisdom. There were only 3 episodes, so that is another place you can look. But it's something I've been grappling with, ironically, outside of this book, is wisdom, how to find it, how to get it, things like that. So there's another, help for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely wise to be looking for wisdom in the right place, for sure. All right, listeners, we would love to know what you think of these chapters. Come and let us know on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
All right, I'm a fan of something I mentioned in, I believe it was last week's episode. I just mentioned it in passing, not as an I'm a fan. And I don't think I've said enough good things about it yet. So
Okay.
it's my microfiber cloths that I use for my dish rags. And I got them on Amazon, so I'll link them in the show notes. But they work so particularly well on stainless steel. And that's where I first saw them being used.
Yeah.
So I have a stainless steel refrigerator, dishwasher, and then my stovetop under the eyes is always, I mean, I wipe that thing 3 times a day. And usually it leaves streaks because the rags are kind of wet, and then if they have cleaner in them, it just doesn't get rinsed out. So these things work beautifully. I can have it kind of wet to get up dirt or sticky stuff. And then I rinse it out, wring it out, and it's almost dry. And that's when it really polishes away all the streaks on your countertops and your silver or stainless steel. And they don't mildew because they're dry, basically. So no more stinky dishcloths. I know you said you changed yours every day, Marie, but I pretty much go a week, with my dishcloth. And the other thing that I've done is I bought different colors. They come in about 6 colors. So I kind of color coded them by purpose so they don't get cross contaminated. Because I don't want to use a bathroom cloth in my kitchen sink the next time. Even though it's been washed, that kind of grosses me out.
Yeah.
So one color for my kitchen, one color for like furniture oils. Because once the oil gets in them, that'll always kind of leave like it would leave a streak on your glass or whatever.
Sure.
One for glass and one for bathrooms.
Okay. Awesome.
I think they come 12 to a pack.
I think that those are something good to have on hand just for any kind of cleaning. Yeah, so handy.
I've had them for other types of cleaning, but just in the kitchen, it was just a game changer for me. So really good.
Love that, Julie. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of a quirky new show to us, but not new. Recently, we're walking into this last year with our son. He's a senior in high school. And so everyone else is gone for the summer. They're all back at school and back at their houses. And it's the 3 of us at night. And Nathan found a show on Amazon Prime, and we have started watching 1 or 2 episodes every night. And it has been so funny. The name of it is The Grand Tour, or GT, and it's a British motoring television series. And these 3 older men are British, and they are hilarious. They are so quirky, nutty. It's all about cars. My son really loves cars. And the different things that they do are just so funny. They have adventures. They go around the world. They're like witty, dry British humor. And it's just brought us so much joy, the 3 of us, to watch these at night. And so in this last season with Nathan, I'm like, I would have never watched this by myself.
Mindy, I have watched all the seasons 3 or 4 times. Okay.
Stop it.
But I wouldn't have done it without John. That's why. So
I wondered, Julie.
Yeah.
When I got into this, I'm like, I could see John and Julie watching this. And I was curious.
Favorite show.
Are you serious?
Then after this, Mindy, you'll have to watch Jeremy Clark, the older man. He does Clarkson's farm. He bought a farm in the Cotswolds and tries to farm it himself. And
I'm so into this show now. I never thought I would be. But okay, I will have to do that.
You have to have a man around to enjoy it, though.
Okay.
For sure.
It is so funny. Okay, so yes, the grand tour.
Okay, well, that's really cool. I love that. And anything you can sit down and watch with your kids is always appreciated.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, David loved those too.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to bring this up because Julie had said she got rid of her social media apps. And this is something, so my daughters worked at a summer camp all summer, and they really didn't have access to their phone all week. They'd only have access to their phone for 24 hours every weekend. And one of the things the camp really encouraged the staffers to do once they got back into the real world was to still be very disciplined about their phone. And one of the tools they brought to the staffers' attention was called the brick. Have you heard of it?
No, what is this?
It's basically turns your phone back into a tool. And so my daughter ordered one when she got home. And it's this little gray box, and you sync it with your phone. And it doesn't have to only be your phone. You could also sync it with other phones in your house. And basically, it locks your phone. Like, you can create multiple custom modes for different parts of your day. Like, if she's trying to study, she can put it on her study mode. And in that, she will have chosen what apps to block. Like, maybe she's made it so that she can only receive text during that time. You have to physically go to the brick and unbrick your phone if you want to get on the things that you've already decided to tell it not to let you get on. And so there's, you know how on your phone where it'll be like, oh, we'll just set, a limit on Facebook. But Lauren said that never works because it's always like, your time limit is run out. Do you want to add 15 minutes? And pretty much everyone the world over just clicks add 15 minutes. I mean, we don't really stop. But like with the brick, theoretically, you should have put it somewhere in your house where you would have to get up from where you're studying and go over and brick it. Like, it's making it harder. And it says that you have 5 times to unbrick it. And I don't know. It says need emergency access. Each device includes 5 emergency unbricks that you can activate in the app. And so I don't know over what period of time you get these emergency unbricks, but it is something that I'm going to be asking my daughter how she likes it. And I honestly would consider getting it for myself because I would benefit from certain parts of my days just not having access. Like, you know how we scroll mindlessly? Like maybe while we eat lunch, like I should brick my phone and then I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm forced to read a book or like, I don't know. We just kind of need these things in our lives because we've obviously shown that we have zero self-control most of the time. So in relation to our phones. And I was talking to my one son about it, who lives in Baltimore, and he said that one of his friends was just showing him that he got this. So it may be something that those younger generations are going to adopt, and we'll start hearing about it in midlife, and we may be convicted to adopt it also.
Yeah, because you can't live without your phone. That's not an option anymore, you know.
Right.
And so I have found like now that I haven't had, it's probably been about 2 weeks. I haven't given up social media because there's still things about it that I like, but it is really not even on my mind anymore. And I'll have to think, oh, I need to check this, you know. And in the past, you know, like now I'll be checking an email. My thumb would just go right over to where Instagram used to be.
Right.
And that's how easy it is to stop. Like if it's not there, it's not there. But, you know, once I got in there, I didn't like seeing my screen time at the end of the day or the end of the week. You know, it was like, wow, that was a lot of wasted time. And it's doing harm. It's not just wasted time, but we've learned from today it's probably doing harm. So, so if you're messaging me, I'll eventually get to it, but not every day, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'll link to the brick if you're interested in finding out more about that. Link to Mindy's show and Julie's cleaning cloths because those are important too. All right. Well, I love talking with you guys about this comparison, and let's try to hold each other accountable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Sounds good. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.